pigskin parade by the top-ranking college teams of the year. Northwestern kicks off to Ohio State. Carl Sturts takes it on his 5, and watch him run back with this one. Behind the phalanx of Buckeye blockers, he rolls past midfield into Northwestern territory. He's still making tracks down the far sideline. On the opening play, Sturts races 90 yards before the Wildcats gang up on him just short of a touchdown. Fullback Chuck Gandy power dives, and Ohio State scores before the Evanston fans have seen a full minute of football. Northwestern on the offense, Ohio State on the rampage. The Wildcats fumble. Watch, and Sherwin Gandy recovers for the Bucks. Ball handling like this makes the Buckeyes baffling. Halfback Elway into the open. Those Wildcats look like they're caged on this one. 50 yards and into the end zone. Wildcats ball, now they're gambling. Springer looks for a black-shirted receiver, but Gandy turns the tables with an interception to score on a top-flight defensive play. Ohio State 32, Northwestern nothing. 66,000 red-hot fans in Austin as Southern Methodist clashes with Texas. Freddie Benner's aerials to Johnny Champion, and it's good for 40 Southern Methodist yards. All-America Kyle Rote dives over for SMU, and the Mustangs are in the scoring column. That's Benner's passing again, but this one backfires as Bubba Shams glues onto it, and the Texas Steers are back in the ball game. Brother, they can all pass down here. Ben Tompkins spots Ben Proctor racing downfield. He lets him have it. He takes it on the gallop. Proctor on the loose, hits pay dirt. The Texas Steers kick off to the Mustangs. Now watch Kyle Rote run it back. This could really turn into a stampede. He comes back 30 yards. A swivel hip demon. Fred Benner's back in the passing slot for SMU. It's a top-flight pass to Ben White in the end zone, but it's not the Mustangs' day. Final score, Texas 23, SMU 20. The Notre Dame-Purdue clash. Macchioli receives the Irish kickoff, fumbles, butterfingers it again. A bad start for the Boilermakers against the highly favored Notre Dame team. Everybody knows Purdue's the underdog, but the Boilermakers this wet and murky afternoon outcharge Notre Dame, and Schmidt rips off 20 yards. There goes Carestes plowing for a Purdue score. Mighty Notre Dame trails for the first time in 40 games. The Irish just can't get going. Nothing seems to work. All-America quarterback Bob Williams sends a long pass on its way, but Schnabel brings it down for the Boilermakers. An interception. He heads for the Irish goal and runs it back 45 yards. Purdue is really pounding. Sophomore Samuels on the throwing end, Schmidt on the receiving end, and he brings it to the 5-yard line. Carestes plunges, and he goes right on into the end zone. An inspired Purdue team leads Notre Dame 14-0. The Irish get around to scoring, but Purdue walks off with top honors. Samuels tosses for the Boilermakers as Notre Dame bows 28-14. Back east, Harvard kicks off to one of the greatest of a long line of great Army teams. When this classic started 55 years ago, Army was the underdog loser, but what a difference today. Coach Red Blake's son, Bobby, runs the cadet team from quarterback, and brother, he can pass. He sharpshoots to Jack Martin on the Army 30, and Martin legs it across midfield to the Harvard 35-yard line. Switching from the air to the ground, Cadet Gil Stevens takes the handoff, cracks off tackle, rolls like a patent tank, and goes all the way into the end zone. They're seeing a superior Army team pitted against an overpowered but fighting Harvard. Here's an Army kickoff and the end of any Crimson hopes. Johnny West grabs the boot, fumbles, picks it up, fumbles again. The breaks of the game. Watch this, another fumble, and Army recovers. It's like this all afternoon. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. This one, Blake to Folberg. Harvard takes its worst licking ever, 49-0. Way down south in Dixie, Georgia Tech's Rambling Wrecks start rambling against Kentucky's Wildcats in Atlanta. Darrell Crawford hands to Bob McCoy, sets it up, and it's the same pair again as Georgia Tech scores and leads. Kentucky recovers quickly. Bay Perilli passes to Clayton Webb, and it's good for 8 yards. And now with the T formation really running smoothly, it's Webb on the receiving end of a lateral, and he scoops across for the Wildcats. Kentucky is running its plays without a hitch. Perilli to Webb again, and it's good for 20 yards. All-American second, Bay Perilli airmails it to Dom Succi in a touchdown. A top drawer play by top drawer team. Trailing 27-7, Tech never says die. Crawford gets the ball to Joe Cobb, who drives to the end zone, but too late. Kentucky wins 28-14. The Ivy League's two top teams, Cornell and Princeton, the Big Red confident as they meet at Princeton this afternoon. Kazmaier completes a pass to Chandler. The Princeton Tigers go to work and unbeaten Cornell. A starting parade of Princeton touchdowns started from single wing formation. They've got power, speed, deception, and Kazmaier, who's on the loose for 70 yards and a TD. Here's what you call perfect timing and execution. Kazmaier passes to Reed, who laterals to Bunnell, and he races to the 2-yard line. Jack Davison carries it the rest of the way. Something new has been added to Old Nassau. Coach Charlie Caldwell wears a big smile, and why not? Princeton's as good on defense as they are on attack. An interception, and they're in scoring position. The Tiger wags his tail as he sees a moment later McCandless go over. Princeton blanks Cornell 27-0. Texas and Oklahoma, both undefeated, meet in Dallas. Oklahoma kicking off. Texas fumbles, and the Sooners of Oklahoma recover. Big Heath roars through Texas like a tumbleweed in a windstorm before he's finally spilled out of bounds on the 1-yard line. Sophomore Billy Vessels wastes no time, and shortly thereafter, savagely goes over for the TD for Oklahoma. Moments later, Texas is knocking on the door, bruising Byron Townsend, blast down the middle, and an inside trap play for the touchdown that ties it up. Next period, Oklahoma's ball. Dick Heatley throws for the Sooners, but Bob Dylan intercepts for Texas at midfield, and just look at that steer gallop right over the goal line. Now it's Oklahoma with Arnold chucking to Heath, a 20-yarder to midfield. The clock is running out. Oklahoma moves to the Texas 11, and Oklahoma trails 13-7. But now watch Billy Vessel sailing wide to the right, twisting, turning, smashing over for a touchdown. And the crowd goes haywire as the score becomes tied, 13-13. Now the crowd anticipating the opportunity for Oklahoma to win as they try the extra point. Jim Weatherall awaits the opportunity to boot. We're waiting the snap from center. There it is, the spot, the kick. It's good, and Oklahoma wins 14-13. The top kick among the top plays of the year.
Knoxville, Tennessee, and highlights of the Alabama-Tennessee game in the first quarter. Avenge's first pass backfires, with Atkins of the Vols grabbing it. When he's hit hard and fumbles the ball, Helms recovering for Alabama. From the 9, Lutz boots it through the uprights for a field goal, and the Crimson Tide leads by 3 points. Substitute fullback Al Kozar almost single-handedly picks up 10 yards. And then, as the quarter changed, it's Kozar again going across to give Tennessee the lead. 50,000 spectators are getting at Frillsworth. In the third period, Alabama fights to recover the lead with sophomore halfback Bobby Marlowe doing the honors. 44 yards, and then Marlowe slides across to make it 9-7 in favor of Alabama. With the clock running out, the Volunteers start a last-minute rally. Hal Payne picks up speed and yardage and is only caught from behind on the 5 by Bama's Jack Brown. And with 2 minutes left to play, Kozar scores again, and Tennessee wins 14-9. It's Major uncorking along when taken on the run by Stevens, and Stevens romps the rest of the way to put Illinois ahead of the favored Buckeyes. 73,000 fans see the Buckeyes hit the comeback trail. Ohio State's Janowitz fumbles the ball, and Lynch recovers for Illinois. 7 plays later, including this beautifully executed reverse, with Stevens ending up with the ball, the Fighting Illini have practically clinched the Big Ten Rose Bowl bid. Held on the ground, Illinois takes to the air. Major to Klimek to put the ball on the Buckeyes 5. Major back now for another pass. He looks for Stevens, who makes it. It's 14-7 for Illinois. California is far from sunny for the Army-Stanford game. In fact, it's a picture of rain and gloom at Palo Alto, where for 2 rain-soaked periods, it's a hard-fought, scoreless struggle between the Indians of Stanford and the unbeaten cadets from West Point. But the cadets prove they can operate no matter what the conditions are, and passes turn the tide against Stanford. Determined to maintain their long, unbeaten streak, the Black Knights take to the air again in the deepening gloom. Bob Blake gets it away to Don Folberg, who keeps going to give Army a 7-0 victory. Having won only 2 games all season, the Minis uncork a mighty upset right from the start. Bill Powers sweeps wide around the Army flank and goes for first down. A 3-touchdown underdog has the nation's number 2 team rocked on its heels. Bob Zastro, the Minis' Husky quarterback, shoots a pass downfield for a skidding catch by Captain Tom Back. On the 7, Zastro finds a hole and sneaks through for a touchdown. Navy has beaten Army to the punch, and the stadium is filled with pandemonium. Still Navy, Zastro, to Powers on a reverse that catches the West Pointers napping. Before they nail him, Powers is reeled off 22 yards, and the stage is set for another Navy score. Zastro now back for a pass, looking for a receiver, taking his time. 30 yards into the end zone, and Jim Ballinger's catch is ruled complete. That makes it 14-0 for the Sailors, and the joint is really jumping on one side of the field. The cadets find something to cheer about as Bobby Zastro, fading back to pass, is trapped and dumped in the end zone by the determined West Pointers. With the Middies leading 14-2, Doc runs out. It's all Navy in the greatest upset of a great season. Ohio State's passes are clicking in the first period, and Janowitz takes plenty of time getting this one away. Hamilton has it, and the Buckeyes take the lead. Now the Spartans of Michigan State get going. Quarterback Darrow decides to run with the ball. That was a good decision on Darrow's part. For a few plays later, McAuliffe bangs across to put the Spartans out front. Yard gain. This time, Cursillo passes it. Janowitz pulls it in, and then 3 plays later, he completes the distance to give the Buckeyes the edge. With the clock running out, it's Uchik to Darrow on the 10. The Buckeyes can't stop him, and Michigan State chalks up another victory. At Lafayette, Indiana, the camera catches up with a Texas quarterback named Jones, a long time and many yards before Purdue does. Jack Barton picks up 16 yards to the Purdue 1-yard line. 4 plays and 1 penalty later, Gib Dawson chalks up his first of 2 touchdowns, and the Longhorns win 14-0. On the 5th play of the game, Leibold skirts the Tar Heel flank, and the Terps, as the Maryland Maulers are called, have rolled 51 yards since the opening kickoff. Climaxing the whirlwind first period drive, Ralph Felton races 28 yards up the middle. He's over, and Maryland fans whoop it up. But the Tar Heels answer back in a hurry. Weiss makes it a first down about midfield. And here's the big Tar Heel 6-footer again, and he really rocks them this time. Close, but no cigar. From the 3, Gant heads for the corner, outflanking Maryland to put the underdog Tar Heels back in circulation. Gant scores, and she's all tied up at 7-all. Maryland's national standing is at stake, but it begins to look secure as Scarbath pitches out to Henelak, and the Terps are rolling once again. Maryland's first victory over the Tar Heels in a quarter century is assured as Szymanski tosses to Whitensall for another TD. The Wildcats of Northwestern cut loose in the first quarter. Halfback Dick Alban rockets through the middies for 50 yards, but he's not satisfied, and he laterals to fullback Charlie Gren. Charlie carries it the rest of the way, 38 yards for the touchdown. Wildest of the Wildcats today is Dick Alban. He really spikes the Navy's guns, making like a one-man task force. He sails 69 yards this cruise to contribute to one of Navy's unhappiest seasons. Fred Benners, the Mustang passing ace, connects with Musselwhite, and the fireworks begin. Southern Methodist hasn't beaten Notre Dame in 4 years, but Musselwhite's romp gets them off on the right foot this year. Operating out of Notre Dame's novel I formation, Johnny Mazur nearly donates his jersey to the cause before getting the ball away. Barrett moves it ahead for a big gain. Then dot your I's and cross your T's. T for an off-tackle smash by Reynolds. Good for the distance. But back again is Deadeye Benners, SMU's secret weapon, and throws to Russell, and this one puts the Mustangs out front again. But the Irish don't waste any time, and it's all tied up when Mazur heaves to Ostrowski in the end zone. A human bomb sight. The big boy from Dallas does it again. Into the end zone to Ben White. 20-13, SMU at the half. The Fighting Irish wonder what hit him. Benners? No. Pass? Jerry Norton had him guessing. And now the problem is to stop him. Notre Dame solves the problem. 40 yards later, Southern Methodist's first running play really clicked. It worked so well, the Mustangs try it again. Norton reels off 20 yards this jaunt. Back to normal again. Benners passing, White receiving, and SMU scores a stunning upset. Trailing Army by a touchdown, the thundering herd from California starts stampeding in the mud of Yankee Stadium. The start of a landslide. Hans goes over, and the score goes even, and the weather goes on and on. But it doesn't hamper Southern Cal's greatest play of the day. An Army punt is returned by Johnny Williams, and we do mean returned. Picking up blockers from all sides, Williams goes the distance, and Southern Cal sloshes through to another triumph. North Carolina punts to Tennessee's Volunteers, and it's Bert Retchikar running it back as Tennessee shows Chapel Hill the power that has won them national acclaim. A moment later, All-American Hank Loricella pitches to Retchikar for 25 yards and a touchdown. Watch Loricella sweep from the Tennessee single wing on a beautiful 45-yard jaunt, highlighted by some crisp blocking. Just to prove the play works, Loricella does it again with ample aid from his well-drilled mates, and he scampers 27 yards to a touchdown. Loricella takes to the air now, combining with John Davis for a 29-yard pickup to put the ball on the 1-yard line, and that tough team from Tennessee makes it 27-0 as Loricella plunges over for the touchdown. Dick Kazmaier, the 170-pound tailback from Maumee, Ohio, demonstrates his eligibility for football's Hall of Fame as he leads the Tigers in mauling Cornell. Russ McNeil goes up and over to get the Tigers off and roaring on the straw hat circuit. Cornell's Big Red team made a fight of it, with Scazzaro and other backs clicking for big gains, but it's still early in the game. A pass combination, Calvo to Merge, that figured in previous Cornell victories, pays off now with a red touchdown. But the story is Princeton and Kazmaier. He tosses a bullseye pass to Pivarotto, who carries it over to give 49,000 fans another thrill. Princeton never looked better. Coach Caldwell's single-wing brilliance shines with Pivarotto breaking loose through the Cayuga cohorts for 38 yards. Not a one-man team, this Princeton, but what an afternoon Dick Kosmeier had. Another touchdown. Running or passing together, they add up to football greatness for young Kosmeier, an All-American in the football parade of 1951.
35,000 fans jammed Tennessee Volunteers on the Duke Blue Devils. Charlie Smith of Duke battles for 7 yards. Fullback Jack Kistler adds 4 more. Lloyd Caudle collects 5 yards. Jack Kistler grinds out another 5. Red Smith keeps the ball rolling for 4. Caudle attempts an in sweep, but Tennessee stops him. In the second period, the Blue Devils get Smith away for 8 yards as they relentlessly drive on against the ball. It's Smith again for 8 yards. Jack Kistler pounds into pay dirt. Duke scores and beats Tennessee 7-0. At Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia, 35,000 fans are awed by the gridiron greatness of Maryland as the Terrapins unleash their power against the Georgia Bulldogs. Felton takes Scarborough's pass for 11 yards. Contending for All-America quarterback honors, Scarborough whips a pass to Chet Hanaluk, good for a 25-yard gain. Hanaluk from Hackensack hurries to a TD as Maryland moves ahead. This time, Scarborough gets the ball by the air route to Little Hanaluk, and the combination connects for 27 yards. Ralph Felton fights his way for 8 yards as Maryland plays its best game of the season. Bielski carries the ball the rest of the way for Maryland. Georgia's Bobby Dellinger slips loose for 19 yards against the Terps. The drive bogs and Georgia is forced to punt. Maryland's Filoni returns. Chet Hanaluk races to the line for 10 yards. And Ed Fullerton scores. Maryland slams Georgia 37-0. At Atlanta, a Tulane pass is intercepted by Rudolph of Georgia Tech, and Tech starts a rambling. The underdogs from New Orleans made it a fight all the way, but Brigman's toss to tease collects for a big gain, and Tech's 18-game winning streak looks secure. Here's the clincher. Brigman again, uncorking a long one, caught on the run by Martin, and Georgia Tech remains one of the top teams on the nation's gridiron. At Palmer Stadium, Princeton puts its 24-game winning streak on the line. The Quakers are determined to thwart the Tigers' bid for number 25. Joe Veritas bucks over from the 2, and Penn is out in front. 5 minutes later, they've scored again. A Princeton pass is intercepted by Bosseler. Just the first of many frustrations for the favored Tigers. 5 Princeton passes in all were intercepted. A 46-yard touchdown toss. Walt Hinowski to Jack Moses, plus a key block en route, accounts for the red and blue team's second tally. And Penn leads 13-0 in the second period. Lady Luck smiles on Penn, but the Tiger never stopped trying. Shortly before the half, a Princeton rally clicks. Bob Unger passes 23 yards to Len Lyons, and the Lions of the Tigers claws his way closer to the Quaker goal line. Another aerial by the Princeton tailback to Captain McPhee goes for the TD, but Penn retains its victory margin. Pitt, conqueror of Notre Dame, invades West Point and defeats a gallant but outgamed Army team. Rudy Mattioli directs the tee, pitching out to Paul Chess, and the big Pitt back outflanks the Army for 14 yards and a touchdown for the Golden Panthers. Mattioli is a master hand at the pit throttle. Chess on the receiving end, dishing it out until a cadet says, "Can I give you a lift?" Here's that same pitch out again, and the result is the same. Paul Chess around end to score his second touchdown for the Panthers. The Cadets did score, but not before the Panthers had done it again. Chess paving the way. More T trickery, and the Panthers are prowling. Bill Reynolds heads for the payoff stripe, and Pitt wraps up their scoring for the day. A record crowd at Madison, Wisconsin looks on as the hometown Badgers are forced to kick on fourth down, and the fireworks begin. Under it is Joe Sabol of unbeaten UCLA, and Joe's run back is a beaut. Plenty of Badgers take a crack at him, but Joe goes over, and the unbeaten Bruins take the lead. Pass interceptions figure in 3 of the 4 touchdowns. Narlski's toss is snarled by Werman of Wisconsin, who brings it back to the Bruins' 34. The Badgers waste no time. Haluska spots his man. And boom, Peters tucks it in and races across to tie up the game, and Wisconsin's fans come to life. Pass interception number 2 coming up. UCLA benefits this time as Daly snares it and carries deep into Wisconsin territory. The tide of battle has swung to the Bruins. From the 5, Cameron passes into the end zone to Stitz, and UCLA leads again. Desperately trying to fight back, Wisconsin passes from behind its own goal line. It backfires. Stitz of the Bruins has it, goes all the way, and UCLA remains unbeaten. As Michigan State gets going against Purdue, it's a rock'em sock'em affair, with Purdue trying to throw up a roadblock against the spectacular Spartans, looking for win number 21. The Spartans find it. Tom Uchik gets the ball away, a nifty to Decker for a net gain of 40 yards. And then Don McAuliffe makes like a battering ram to pick up 12 more big yards. The Purdue Boilermakers can't stop him. And from the 2, McAuliffe blasts his way across to put his top-ranking team out front. Purdue threw a real scare into Michigan State, but that was all. They also made things hot for Tom Uchik on occasions, but he got this pass away. Don't ask me how. And it's completed, too, to Bill Wells, who turns what looked like a Spartan loss into a Spartan gain. And so it went. 2 costly fumbles dogged the Boilermakers' heels. Another rock'em sock'em play. From the 15, Uchik carries it over. End over end, fumbles. It's recovered. Touchdown for Michigan State. And the Spartans retain their number 1 rating. South Bend, Indiana, and the highlights of the Notre Dame-Oklahoma game. Score tied 7-7. Billy Vessels of Oklahoma sets sail, and I mean sail, streaking 62 yards for another Sooner touchdown. Ranking 4th on the college grid parade, the Sooners are heavy favorites, but the Irish are really fighting Irish today. Heath gets away a pass to Latner, and Notre Dame is rolling. Warden smacks the Sooner line, and it's all tied up again, and Notre Dame fans whoop it up. But Coach Wilkinson's Sooners strike back fast. Vessels is underway again. The Fleet halfback races 42 yards this trip, changing course and sailing unmolested into payoff port. He scored all 3 Oklahoma TDs. The score tied 21 to all. Johnny Latner puts more sock in the Irish Shillelagh, 13 yards through center. Tom Carey sneaks it up and over, and Notre Dame has pulled the upset of the week, defeating the Sooners 27-21 and toppling them from the ranks of the unbeaten.
It's 94 degrees in Norman, Oklahoma, where 50,000 fans are out for the Oklahoma Notre Dame game. A pass, Guglielmi to Heath ties it up 7-all. It's a free-scoring thriller for the perspiring onlookers, with the Sooners now on the offensive. Jack Ging skirts the Irish flank and pulls his way to the 8-yard line before they stop him. But the flashy Sooner halfback is jet-propelled as he rockets across to put his team back in the lead. The Fighting Irish run wild in the 3rd period, marked by some spine-tingling aerial artistry. Guglielmi lofts a long one to Heath. What a beauty! And Notre Dame winds up the winner, 28-21. Further football for the faithful, 27,000 of them onlookers as the Maryland grid machine rolls over visiting Georgia. Spark plug for the Maryland Terrapins is their 6-foot caller, Bernie Filoni. He passed for 2 touchdowns, scored a third, and intercepted a pass for a fourth. Walker takes this Filoni pass in the end zone for a Terrapin touchdown. Who's got the ball is uppermost in many minds, Georgia included, and by the time the question is answered, Maryland is touchdown bound again. Bernie Filoni marches through Georgia, continuing to play the hero role in his team's decision over the Dixie Bulldogs. One platoon football has produced its upsets, its stars, and its Iron Men. Add to this latter the name of Bernie Filoni of Maryland, who had himself a field day against Georgia. 56 yards for the thrill play of the game. A bit of a razzmatazz as the quarters change, and Honoluk lugs leader for 6 points, and Maryland wins 40-13. Cadets give a cheer in New York, and they've got something to cheer about. The resurgence of their Army team to gridiron greatness. Adia makes it 1st and 10 against unbeaten Duke, and then Bell smacks the Duke middle for 9 yards and a touchdown. The Cadets are leading. Give a cheer. The Blue Devils of Duke, unbeaten and big favorites to stay that way, strike through the air on their way to tie the score in the second period. Lutz lugging leather for the 6 points. So it's all even Steven. And so Army fixes that in a hurry. Peter Van uncorks a pass to Pete Ubel, and the flashy yearling back makes tracks down the sidelines. Blue Devils give chase, but Ubel hits the corner, and 6 big points for the rejuvenated Black Knights. They lead 14-7, then Duke scores, trails by 1 point, then come the dramatics. Late in the fourth quarter, Duke springs Jim Smith loose on what seemed for a time a touchdown play, giving Duke the victory. Smith in the clear until suddenly out of nowhere races on the end Bob Mishek, overtaking Smith and dragging him down 7 yards from the payoff strike. The Cadet Corps is stunned. But then a goal line stand by the embattled Army team stops the Blue Devils with seconds left to play. Duke is upset 14-13. Army wins its greatest victory in 2 years. Hail the conquering heroes. The Black Knights return to glory. Horned Frogs versus Cougars. Texas Christian versus Washington State at Spokane. And it's Cougars who jump first. Wayne Berry to the 1, and then Wayne Berry again. The 6-foot halfback plunging over put the Cougars out front. But the Horned Frogs of TCU came too long away not to break their 5-game losing streak. They break it, but first they got to tie the score. McCown sees to that. From the 1, he sneaks it over for the tally, and she's all tied up. Number 42, Clinkscale, speedy junior halfback, shows his stuff later in the game, and TCU puts the game on ice. Clinkscale sets up 1 touchdown by his ground-gaining ability, and then as the quarter changed, he takes to the air. Clinkscale to Sanford, and Texas Christian breaks its losing streak, 21-7. Big Ten honors are at stake as 2 state colleges, Michigan and Ohio, battle tooth and nail at Columbus. The Spartans of Michigan State strike first on a handoff. Leroy Bolden goes over, first of 3 touchdowns for the flashy halfback. Buckeye boosters take heart in the second period when Buckeye Bob Watkins displays some fancy stepping and gets some nice blocking, going 32 yards to put Ohio State within striking distance. 16 yards to pay dirt, and Watkins digs for it. He's over, and Buckeye fans voice their approval. But then Bolden swings into action again. The Spartans' 157-pound halfback just won't give up. Sails the rest of the way for his second TD of the day. It's 14-6 at halftime. Third period. Watkins endearing himself once more to Ohio State fans. The freewheeling fullback from Massachusetts picks up 20 yards, again putting the Buckeyes within range of the goal. Aerial range. Dave Leggett lofts one into the outstretched arms of Haig, and the Buckeyes are trailing by only 1 point, 14-13. loose until Boldy Bolden begins bowling over Buckeyes again in the fourth quarter. Boom, he bounces along, avoiding tackle after tackle. Two more in his way. He shakes loose, and Michigan State wins 28-13. Wisconsin for the Illinois-Wisconsin game. Big Ten honors riding on this one, with third-ranking Illinois showing its stuff in the opening minutes of play. Undefeated so far this year. The Illini look like winners as Ken Miller plunges over for the one to put his team out front. But the Badgers of Wisconsin take charge now, and one of the day's big upsets is in the making. Holland Kyle streaks 40 yards to give Wisconsin the edge, 14-7 at halftime. The final period turns into a rout, with Wisconsin scoring 3 times, turning the Big Ten race into a three-way scramble. Allen, they call him the horse, Amici, for 17 yards, and then Holland Kyle, another big ground gainer for the Badgers, for 31 to the Illinois 8. Quarterback Jimmy Miller sneaks it across for the TD, and the fans holler on Wisconsin. On a pitch out, Jerry Witt celebrates his entrance into the game by skirting for the sidelines. 40 yards and a touchdown. The finishing touch to a big upset. Wisconsin wins by the lopsided score of 28-7. Dartmouth and Princeton clash in the 33rd edition of one of the Ivy League's traditional grid rivalries. Fullback Dick Jefferson goes 20 yards for first down. And McKenna follows through for the Big Green's first score. Quarterback McKenna again. An aerial attack that misfires as Princeton's Royce Flippin intercepts and runs it back to Dartmouth's 16-yard line. Captain Homer Smith carries the ball, smashing through center for the Tigers' second TD. Dartmouth 7, Princeton 12. But the second quarter sees the Big Green start pounding. Beagle goes back and tosses to Filcher, who steps across for the third tally. For the rest of the game, it's a rout as the Big Green scores with a roaring 34-12 victory. A great game of the football parade of 1953.
Highlights of a thrill-packed season on college gridirons. Purdue versus Iowa at Iowa City. The Boilermakers of Purdue kick on fourth down. The Iowa State man receives, but then slips the ball to Earl Smith. Easy Earl, they call him, clicking to perfection on this play, devised by Iowa coach Forrest Evashevsky. It pays dividends as Smith drops 68 yards for a touchdown, and the Iowa Hawkeyes lead 12-0. The Hawkeyes keep up the pressure. Right halfback Eddie Vincent breaks into the clear, and he's off to the races. "96 yards to give Iowa a 25-0 lead at halftime. The Boilermakers of Purdue are desperate. So desperate they have Len Dawson pass from behind their own goal line. Desperation pays off. Kerr completes on a Boilermakers get-up steam. The aerial combination of Dawson to Kerr works again for Purdue. This play covers 80 yards as Kerr breaks into the clear and goes all the way for the TD. But Iowa wins the game 25-14. 57,000 brave the rain to see Notre Dame play Michigan State. Morrill of State fires to Lewis, who outraces the Irish defenders to put the Spartans ahead by a score of 13-0. Then the Fighting Irish start fighting back. All-American quarterback Ralph Guglielmi lofts the leather to Heath, who turns and heads for the sidelines, and down he goes in the rain and mud. Heath again on a handoff, slamming across with 6 points for Notre Dame. Second half, the Irish and Joe Heath do it again. Joe had quite a day for himself. His second touchdown puts the Irish out in front. Don Schaefer is another big gun for Notre Dame today, eluding tackle after tackle before the Spartans finally topple into the turf after a 20-yard gain. On the option play, Guglielmi laterals to Reynolds, who sets sail for the corner and pay dirt. Time is running out for Michigan State as it begins one final offensive. A long pass to Lewis, spearheading the last-minute drive. Lewis carries to the 14. On an end sweep, Bert Zegers outflanks the Irish secondary, shakes off one last defender, and sprints for the 6 points. He scores, but the extra point kick is wide, and Notre Dame wins 20-19. The Blue Devils of Duke are favored to win, but a hint of what is in store came with this Duke pass. Keigler of Army intercepts, and the Black Knights of the Hudson are off and running. Keigler goes to the Duke 40. From the 15, Pete Lash goes up the middle and over for Army's first touchdown, and homecoming day fans at Durham don't wait long for the second. Pete Van drops back for a pass, shoots a long one to Don Hollander, All-American end, and the Cadets are in high gear. From the 5, Mike Ziegler outflanks the Blue Devils to give Army a 14-0 lead at halftime. On an option play, Bob Pascal springs away with the ball until the Army's Pete Van knocks him out of bounds. Option play again. Blaney shakes loose for 28 yards and a Duke touchdown. But Army wins an upset victory 28-14 to emerge as one of the top teams of the nation. In the Yale Bowl, for its 77th meeting with Yale, Princeton is leading 7-0 in the fourth quarter when Royce Flippen breaks into the clear. Sidelined with injuries for a month, Flippen cruises 70 yards for his second TD of the game. Hurt by 6 fumbles and trailing by 2 touchdowns, the favorite Bulldog finally clicks when Brink begins connecting via the air lines. Lopata snares it on the Tiger 4-yard line. After 4 cracks at the line, Brink draws first blood for Yale. Plagued by fumbles and by injuries, the Elis, with Brink spotting his receivers, drives downfield for another touchdown. One more will tie it up. Brink passes, and again it's completed. No pass this time. McGill slants for the corner at top speed, and it's a tied-up ball game. But then, with the seconds ticking away, Princeton catches its ancient rival off guard. Emery rifles a bullseye pass that McElwee takes on the run to the Yale 4. There are but 15 seconds left to play when Flippen dives across, and Princeton wins a big upset, 21-14. Georgia Tech takes the field before a shirt-sleeved crowd in 93-degree weather for the game with Tulane. The Engineers strike fast. Paul Rotenberry shows his heels to the Tulane team as he heads for the payoff strike. More T-formation deception and another sophomore star for Georgia Tech, Jimmy Thompson, down the field before Partridge of Tulane runs him out on the 5-yard line. Tech's big fullback, George Humphreys, plows over, and the Engineers roll up the score. Second half now. Bill Bridgman fading for a pass. He heaves a 45-yard strike to Bill Sennett, and the Rambling Wrecks from Georgia Tech are rambling for sure. The combination of Bridgman to Sennett works again for a TD this time, and Georgia Tech tramples Tulane by a score of 28-0. Trailing by a point, Arkansas takes to the air against Rice. Walker passes to Matthews for 23 yards as the unbeaten Razorbacks paddle from behind. Moore smacks over to end the 71-yard march, and Arkansas leads. Walker adds the crowning touch with a sizzling 38-yard scoring dash. Arkansas 28, Rice 15. The nationally ranked Sooners of Oklahoma, unbeaten and untied, run into trouble against Nebraska. Lose possession on a fumble. The Cornhuskers take over on the Sooner 20. Nebraska tries the aerial route. Don Irway passes to John McWilliams for the touchdown. But then the homecoming day crowd roars its enthusiasm as the Sooners go to work to sew up another Big 7 title. Pat O'Neill pitches to McDonald. Touchdown for Oklahoma. Callum pitches out to Buddy Leak, another Sooner scorer, and Oklahoma wraps it up 55-7. Big Ten honors and a Rose Bowl bid are at stake at Columbus, Ohio, where the Wolverines of Michigan get going against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Danny Klein picks up 28 yards before they finally bring him down. This is the big game for two arch rivals. Looks like a big upset in the making as Klein takes the screen pass and romps unmolested for the touchdown that puts Michigan out front. 82,000 screaming fans see the Wolverines keep up the pressure in that first half until a break. A Michigan pass is intercepted by Gibbs of Ohio State. It looks like Gibbs will go all the way, but a Michigan defender forces him out on the 5. Leggett tosses to Chris, and it's 7-all at halftime. In the fourth quarter, it's all Ohio State, with Howard Hopalong Cassidy displaying the broken field prowess that's made him an All-American for 1954. Cassidy's been outstanding in Ohio State's unbeaten season. Leggett directs the touchdown drive, passing to Brubaker. Ohio State wins the big game and the Rose Bowl bid. California, here come the Buckeyes.
Of Pittsburgh break the scoring ice in the second quarter as Salvatierra rifles a touchdown pass to Walton. The Duke Rooters come to life a few plays later when Jurgensen uncorks a bullseye beauty of a toss to Blaney, and the Blue Devil is in the clear for Duke's only touchdown. The local fans raise the roof. And then the roof falls in. Neff of Pittsburgh steamrollers Duke. 3 touchdowns in the second half with one gallop that totals 44 yards. Cimaroli smashes over, and it's 13-7 favor of Pitt. Fourth quarter, Salvatierra passing and a spectacular catch by Pellet. It looks like a touchdown, but wait, the referee says no dice. This one counts, though, as Cost goes over. Duke fans are glum and subdued. And helping to complete the route, Lewis races down the sideline, setting it up for Pitt's final touchdown. Here it comes, a toss, Lewis to Walton, and Pitt wins 26-7. Southern Methodist kicks off, and the Yellow Jackets set the stage with a bang as Ken Owen steams through SMU for 45 yards. Right halfback George Volford is a big gun and takes attack, turning the Mustang flank repeatedly. Georgia Tech gains yardage on every play until Toppy Van slams over from the 1-yard line to put Tech ahead, and the Yellow Jackets are never headed. Tech's aerial attack clicks 2. Van heaves to Volford, who carries it for 11, setting it up for Van to smash through to the end zone on a quarterback sneak. SMU kicks on 4th down. And here's another look at George Volford in action. All season, a second-string halfback, he's first string today, turning in a tremendous performance. Too bad this one doesn't count. A penalty nullifies this 80-yard punt return, but it cannot nullify Volford's great playing, and Tech wins 20-7. Fans see the Bruins of UCLA get their fill of terrapin a la Maryland, although they start off as if it's their dish. From the 3, Holloway hits the line but is stopped on the 1. On the next try, the ball is fumbled, and Pellegrini, 1955 All-American, recovers for the Terrapins. From a great defensive goal line stand, Maryland now goes on the offensive with Frank Tamburello directing the attack. Healy snags a pass for a first down on the Bruin 26. Maryland's Tamburello flips it to Barrett, who is aided by great blocking as he races to a touchdown, and Maryland wins 7-0. Wisconsin scores in the first half when Levenhagen frightens the Buckeye crowd with a Badger touchdown. 54,000 fans believe it's on Wisconsin when Miller, finding a receiver, completes a pass for a gain of 25. From the 2, Thomas crashes through, and the Badgers make it 14-0. On Wisconsin, Badger rooters are counting their chickens when the hatchery breaks down. Ohio State suddenly comes to life. Roseboro is the spark. the first payoff is Cassidy's drive up the middle, 13 yards, and a touchdown. Fourth quarter, and Howard Hopalong Cassidy, 1955 All-American, now begins to ride, helping his team topple Wisconsin to remain unbeaten in Big Ten competition. Cassidy and Roseboro are the combination as Ohio State rolls on. Cassidy throwing, Roseboro receiving, and Rosie almost makes it this time, but the referee caught him stepping outside. Frank Elwood crashes over, and the Buckeyes are well in the lead. Wisconsin fans get a chance to yell, and their hopes hit the clouds when Billy Lowe gets into the clear for a spectacular dash downfield. It's the Badgers' last big threat and their last scoring chance as Lowe runs out of steam and the clock runs out of time. Ohio State wins an upset, 26-16. Unbeaten Navy's hopes are shattered when the boys with the bell-bottom pants meet the Fighting Irish. Paul Hornung, the big quarterback, scores, and Notre Dame is off and running. The Middies haven't beaten the Irish since 1944, and the old jinx is still operating. A big gun helping to scuttle midshipman hopes is Aubrey Lewis, here skirting Navy's flank to rack up Notre Dame's second TD. Hornung continues to star. He laterals to Morse, who keeps going under full steam to set the stage for another touchdown. Hornung again with a toss to Capish, and Navy is sunk 21-7. Ranoff of Michigan goes 18 yards to tie the score at 6-all. Then Bob Mitchell, a substitute sophomore halfback, plays a major role in toppling Michigan to its first defeat. 50 yards for the Arkansas Flyer this time. An offside penalty nullifies this Illinois touchdown pass, but later they pull a fake field goal and switch to a pass that scores. Illinois couldn't be denied. In the fourth quarter, Mitchell electrifies the fans with another Red Grange gallop, 64 yards for a touchdown, as Illinois upsets Michigan 25-6. A Minnesota kick is blocked, and Kaiser scoops it up and races for a touchdown. 51,000 fans roar as Minnesota's Garner gets a pitch out and fights through 16 yards of Spartans to tie the score. Standout star for the Spartans is Jerry Planutis, 174-pound fullback. That's light as fullbacks go, but look at him go. A fake handoff and pitch out to Kowalchuk, who sweeps the end for the tally. More trickery with Kowalchuk packing the pigskin for a first down. Wins yardage, but loses his helmet. Here's that fake handoff and pitch out again with Colzodi heading for the corner. He just makes it for the touchdown. Michigan State's second stringers complete the route when quarterback Winowski throws one to Hensley. Score 42-14. Bulldog shivers in a wintry setting for the 80th annual Ivy League Classic. But the old Eli Rooters forgot the cold as Gene Coker plunges for yardage before 56,000 congealed but vociferous fans. Early in the second quarter, Dean Laux' heave is juggled but caught by Vernon Laux for the Eli's first touchdown. Then Harvard catches fire and completes some phenomenal passes considering the conditions. The Bulldog is finally scored on as Walsh Tahura rifles it again, this time to Kennedy, who comes up with it for the TD. But it's old Eli's day. In the fourth quarter, McGill intercepts a Tahura pass and does a 39-yard Frank Merriwell that puts it on ice for Yale, 21-7.
Gridiron highlights of the year. A smashing upset opened the season. Syracuse proved no pushover for Maryland's vaunted Terrapins.
The orange team confounded the experts with its vim and versatility afield. The two-touchdown underdogs score with an aerial attack. Ridlon heaving, All-American Jim Brown receiving and racing into the corner for the TD. A fumble dashes Terrapin hope still further. The beginning of the end for the team on everybody's preseason top 10. Dick Lassie snares the pigskin, and with nice blocking clearing his way, Lassie scores to make it 13-6 in favor of Syracuse. In the third period, Jim Brown, most powerful running back in the East, breaks free for yardage. Brown reaches the Terp 6-yard stripe, and Maryland is in trouble. Fourth down, Zimmerman tosses a jump pass to Ridlon. It's good, and Syracuse topples a gridiron giant 26-12. Texas Christian meets underdog A&M during a small hurricane. Heavy weather in the air and on the field as TCU's Horned Frogs smash to a 6-0 lead. Then the Aggies catch fire. Don Watson banners through the Frog line and goes in a great exhibition of running power for 37 yards. A&M keeps driving. Crow carries around end to the TCU 7. Ineligible for bowl play this season, the Aggies still dominated the Southwest Conference. Watson again, pitching to pay dirt, tying the score. The kick is good, and the Aggies have the winning point. In the first big game of the season at West Point, the Cadets surge to an early lead. A 55-yard drive winds up as Mertland scores, and the Black Knights lead 7-0. Army marches again in the first quarter. Kayaski carries. Then a bootleg play. Kayaski breaks away completely on his own, and he goes across. Army leads 12-0. Penn State makes its bid. But heads up, there's interception. Kayaski has it, and he's away. Possession is regained by the Nittany Lions. Plunn passes to put them in scoring position. They make the goal when Schleicher slams across, but it's too little and too late. Final score, Army 14, Penn State 7. The Hawkeyes of Iowa start strong against Michigan. Duncan's pass to Cloer puts Iowa ahead 7-3. A second touchdown drive winds up with a razzle-dazzle 33-yard romp by Ken Lone. Iowa, winner of this year's Big Ten championship and the Rose Bowl invite, is put ahead 14-3 by Lone's spectacular run. But for the fourth year in a row, the Wolverines come from behind to trip the Hawkeyes. Jatuski scores in the third period, and Maddock pitches to Pace to set up the winning tally in the final quarter. Jatuski carries to score. A clash of grid titans, Georgia Tech and Tennessee, top contenders in the Southeast Conference. Tech's Yellow Jackets, 6-point favorites, are stopped by 2 pass interceptions and a costly fumble in the first half. Tennessee's Volunteers strike in the third period to score an upset victory that started their rise to number 2 national ranking. All-American Johnny Majors hits Buddy Cruz with 2 key passes. There's the first, and there's the second, the big one. The ball's rangy end lugs it to the 1-yard line. Tommy Bronson moves it across, and Tennessee wins 6-0. Mighty Oklahoma invades South Bend, and it's a massacre. Last time the Sooners lost was at the start of the 53 season. Notre Dame beat them, by the way. Now the score is 26-0 at halftime. All-American Tommy McDonald passes to Thomas, taken on the run for a 40-yard gain. Oklahoma stretched its victory string to 39 this year, the longest in modern gridiron annals. Harris keeps it and romps around in to the 3. The Irish are helpless before the Sooners' steamroller. There's Harris again, sneaking across for the TD. Oklahoma stakes out an unbeatable claim for the #1 spot. It's a lopsided score. Interceptions help make it that way. Thomas nabs one late in the game as the Sooners wrap up their 40-0 win. Gridiron fireworks in the first minutes of play as Ohio State takes on underdog Northwestern. The Wildcats' Bob McKeever shakes loose around right end and down the side. Then, aided by precision blocking, he cuts to the other side of the field and travels all the way to the Buckeyes' 6 before he is nailed. On the threshold, the Wildcats falter, and Ohio State gets possession. The Buckeyes try to punt. It's blocked, and the ball rolls out for an automatic safety. The Wildcats ball. They try a pass, but the ball is deflected into the arms of Buckeye Bill Michael. With 15 straight victories in the Big Ten, Ohio State began the season as champions, but lost the crown to Iowa. They squeaked through to victory against a Northwestern team that won 4, tied once, and lost 4 this season. A touchdown pass to Leo Brown wins for the Buckeyes by a tight 6-2.
Undefeated Minnesota. Delvaux spearheads a first-period scoring drive. Delvaux again scoring the first touchdown. The favored Gophers take a trouncing before 70,000 fans at Champaign. Mitchell recovers the fumble, and Illinois drives for pay dirt again. This is Illinois fullback Jack Delvaux's big day. Delvaux goes and goes. And it's Delvaux again as Illinois upsets Minnesota 34-13. North Carolina game, always a big one, was made an extra special occasion by the presence of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, their first taste of a great American institution, college football. Prince Philip, a good cricketer, poses with the two team captains, and the game is on. Nothing like cricket at all, but quite exciting. Maryland fumbles, and the Tar Heels recover. Governor explains to Queen, our team fumbled. The visitors have possession of the ball. The breaks of the game, and North Carolina breaks through to lead at the end of the first half. In the second half, the Terrapins, host to royalty, play football fit for a queen. A terrific rally brings a crowd of 43,000 to its feet. Roussevelen carries the ball across, and the Terrapins tie the score. In the final period comes the tiebreaker. Maryland's Ted Kirshner breaks away to turn the trick. Your Majesty may not understand the game, but everyone reacts to action and excitement. There's plenty of that on tap. The final score, 21-7. Wellborn becomes the Navy GOAT. As his fumble gives the Irish a little break, they parlay into a first quarter tally. But 6 points is all the Irish get. The future Admirals reply with a shattering scoring barrage. Wellborn, first quarter GOAT, but second and third and fourth quarter hero, romps 79 yards to score. Navy shows the power that made it one of the leaders in total offense this season. In the second half, Navy keeps up the bombardment. Seems they can't miss. Wellborn scores each of the Navy's TDs. On quarterback Tom Forrestal's pass, he goes 32 yards to complete the slaughter at South Bend, 20-6. The Black Knights of Army, another top team on offense, came close to being scalped by Utah's Fighting Redskins. Rossop carries to equalize Army's early lead. 28,000 saw this close-fought duel on the gridiron. Cadet Bob Anderson starred for Army. He carried 30 times, gaining 214 yards. On this one, he collects 54 of them and a touchdown. The third of 3, all by Anderson. Anderson again in the final period. He fumbles, but a teammate recovers. Army keeps on rolling. Anderson passes to Graff for the final tally, and Army wins 39-33. Football Southern style. Auburn's undefeated grid juggernaut is challenged by the Tech Engineers. A long pass puts Auburn inside the Tech 20. Auburn, #1 team in the nation, can't get rolling. Held for downs, they try for a field goal. And fullback Billy Atkins splits the uprights for 3 points. Late in the game, the score still 3-0. Auburn punts. Vesey takes it on the run, carries it back 42 yards against the Auburn defense, the best in the nation. With time running out, Tech tries a desperation pass. Tech's last chance is lost on a fumble. Auburn recovers and leading the score 3-0. Yale versus unbeaten Princeton in this year's edition of one of football's oldest rivalries. With the score tied 7-7, fullback Gene Coker passes. A payoff pitch to Mike Cavallon. It's the second touchdown pass caught by Cavallon. The Tiger roars back in the third period. Dan the Kid Sachs rolls up the yardage. Tom Morris fades back to pass. Elects to run instead. Touchdown? Not quite. Morris is nailed on the Eli's 1-yard line. Fred Tiley bucks it across, and Princeton trails by a single point. But the Bulldogs are fighting mad. Dick Winterbauer clicks with a pass to Cavallon. Cavallon with another touchdown pass, and Gavins 20-13. My, spirits do run high in the Ivy League.
The first time the Sooners get the ball, they threaten to blow the Irish off the map as Carl Dodd passes to Dennett Morris for 11 yards. The OU offense, which features firehouse football, has in quarterback Carl Dodd a classy faker and a smooth runner. Dodd dents the Irish defense for a first down, and the Sooners are rolling. Oklahoma's All-America candidate Clendon Thomas goes inside his right end and smashes to the Notre Dame 13-yard line. On fourth down, the Irish brace, and Carl Dodd's pass is defended nicely by Al Ekway as Notre Dame halts the Sooner surge inside the 15. On the first play of the second quarter, an Irish lineman jars the ball loose from Carl Dodd's hands, and the scramble is on. Nick Pietrasante finally covers the pigskin for Notre Dame at midfield. A pair of juniors get the Irish winging as Bob Williams passes to James Colosimo for 10 yards. Williams stuns the Sooners secondary with a quick jump pass to Dick Royer, and Notre Dame has another first down. Quarterback Williams is taking the headlines away from the nation's second-ranking team as he completes another pass. This one to Pietrasante is good for 10 yards. The slow-motion camera focuses on Williams again, and Bob is booming the Sooners with his aerial antics. Colosimo grabs the toss and gets to the 3-yard line. Now watch this play carefully. Jim Just gets the handoff and bangs into the line. Just didn't make it into the end zone. Rack up a brilliant goal line stand for the Sooner defense. The next time they get the ball, the Irish are closing in again with Frank Reynolds carrying for a 9-yard gainer. Williams is back on target once more, and James Colosimo makes a beautiful diving catch for a first down. The Sooners aren't the only team to work a little razzle-dazzle. The Irish pull off a fake field goal, and Williams passes to Just, who blasts to the OU 6. But once again, the Irish luck runs out. Frank Reynolds' pass is picked off by Dave Baker in the end zone, and the Notre Dame drive conks out. At halftime, the score is tied at 0-0. Fourth quarter, and now the fun begins. Notre Dame on the move, and that's Frank Reynolds rambling for 11 yards. Nick Pietrasante gets his hands on the ball and rips up the middle on a first down charge. Williams crosses up the defense with a beautiful jump pass to Dick Royer, and the Irish are on the OU 19. This looks like another win-1 for the Gipper game as Dick Lynch barrels 8 yards on a draw play. Here's the play of the game, and Sooner fans are shocked. Dick Lynch, behind Pietrasante's bone-crushing block, sweeps into the end zone for a touchdown. Notre Dame, a 3-touchdown underdog, leads the nation's number 2 team, Oklahoma, 7-0. This game isn't over yet. The Sooners roar back with Bennett Watts completing a 10-yard pitch to John Pello. Only 1 minute remains and Oklahoma gets a break. Bennett Watts' long pass is deflected into the hands of John Pello, and OU is perched on the Irish 24-yard line. It's do or die for the Sooners. Dale Sherrod throws goalward, but Bob Williams, a standout for the Irish, makes a clutch interception. The kings of collegiate football are beaten. Notre Dame snaps Oklahoma's 47-game winning streak and hands the Sooners their first shutout in 124 consecutive games. In the upset of the year, Terry Brennan's Irishmen dumped Bud Wilkinson's Sooners 7-0.
The Titans of the Big Ten battle it out for conference honors with a bowl bid at stake. Iowa's Randy Dukan passes, and the Hawkeyes go on to mix up their air attack with running plays to really rack up the yardage. Halfback Bill Gravel heads for pay dirt. 1 yard short. A quarterback sneak is called for. And Dukan is across for the score. Iowa leads 13-10. But the Buckeyes roar back in a dramatic fourth quarter rally. LeBeau intercepts an Iowa aerial, and the stage is set for Ohio's comeback drive. Third-string back Bob White carries for 65 yards, setting up the winning touchdown. Bob White carrying again, a one-man victory show. The 17-13 win takes Ohio to the Rose Bowl. One of the big intersectional games of the season. Southern Methodist kicks off to Ohio State. 83,000 at Columbus. The Ohio State's Don Clark charged 22 yards for the score as Buckeyes draw first blood against the Mustangs. Try for 2 after touchdown on the new scoring rule. The pass is good and the score reads 8-0. SMU bounces right back. Billy Dunn gets off a touchdown pass to Henry Christopher. This battle is a close duel all the way. The conversions will tell the story. And in that department, the Mustangs have no luck. Ohio State's All-American Bob White makes another Buckeye tally. Both scored 3 touchdowns, but conversions tip the scale. Ohio State wins 23-20. Auburn takes on Tennessee. That's Lloyd Nix going for 27 yards. Tommy Lorino giving a helping hand.
Auburn driving in a second-half rally. Marino makes another first down. Auburn, rated the nation's #2 team, keeps the ball in possession for most of the game. Didn't allow the Volunteers one first down. Climaxing a 70-yard march, Lamar Rawson on an end sweep takes it over for the first Auburn score. One of the power teams of the country, Auburn goes over for another touchdown. Auburn downs Tennessee 13-0. Trailing 12-0 in the third period, the Spartans of Michigan State stage a sensational rally. Dean Look, racing back a Wolverine punt, sifts through a convoy of would-be tacklers and keeps right on going. 92 yards for a Michigan State touchdown. 75,000 fans are seeing a grid thriller as the Spartans, still trailing 12-6, fight back. Sam Williams on a pass from Mike Pantich makes 20 yards. Winding up a 90-yard scoring drive, Bob Burchick crashes over as Michigan State ties Michigan 12-12. Mighty Oklahoma, trailing Texas by 8 points into the third period, gets going toward that Longhorn goal. The Sooners get into the scoring column as Dickie Carpenter packs it across, and it's Texas 8, Oklahoma 6. Last quarter fireworks. Oklahoma's Jim Davis grabs a Texas fumble, races for the goal to make it Sooners 14, Longhorns 8. With time running out, the Longhorns come roaring back in one of the most sensational last-minute rallies of the season. With the ball on the Sooner 5, Bobby Lackey connects with Bob Bryant to tie it up 14-all. Now the conversion, and the eyes of Texas are on Lackey as he boots it over. Texas wins 15-14. 59,000 see the Hawkeyes in championship form against the Wildcats of Northwestern. Kurt Murs makes it a first down for Iowa. Now, All-American Randy Duncan, one of the best passers in the business, rifles to Murs, and Iowa goes out to a 3-touchdown lead. But the Hawks are forced to punt as the Wildcats tighten up. And on this damp and rainy day, that ball is wet and slippery. Hard to latch onto. A wild scramble. Northwestern finally nails it down. Now Northwestern gets going. Sparked by Dick Thornton, they give the Big Ten champs plenty to worry about, scoring 3 touchdowns in the second half. But Iowa wins the game 26-20, and the Big Ten bids to the Rose Bowl. Notre Dame carries the attack to the Navy. Nick Petrosanto making a first down in scoring territory. George Aitzo shoots a pass, nabbed on the goal line by Bill Mack for the first Irish score. Now it's Navy on the receiving end as Notre Dame kicks off. Dick Dagenpat takes it on the 8 and heads up the left, slipping the ball to Joe Bellino in a crisscross that fools the entire Notre Dame team. Bellino steams 92 yards for a Navy tally. But the scoreboard doesn't stay that way long as the Irish go skyward. George Aitzo fires to Dick Royer. Good for yardage. Again, that's Aitzo tossing. Royer grabs it from a Navy defender and takes it over for Notre Dame. The Irish keep pouring it on. Navy forced to punt. Watch this run back as Mack takes it for Notre Dame. Flashing up the right, he charts a course through the middies, 65 yards for the score. Notre Dame wins 40-20, Navy's first defeat in years. $65,000 see top-ranked Louisiana State battle ancient rival Mississippi. LSU driving. Warren Rabb hits All-American Billy Cannon for a first down. This time Rab throws to Johnny Robinson, and the Tigers are moving deep into Mississippi territory. On the last down, Rab rolls out, decides to carry it himself, and fights his way over for the score. LSU punts as Mississippi holds. The kick is partially blocked. Scotty McLean recovers for the Tigers, and again LSU is on the march. Donnie Day rips through for a big gain. Unbeaten, untied all season, LSU is the nation's #1 team. Durrell Nathern takes over the second score as LSU downs Mississippi 14-0. Thriller for 70,000 at Houston. Alvin Hartman throws to All-American Bobby Dial, and Rice takes a 7-0 lead over Army, and the shouting echoes across Texas. Army strikes back with its own passing game. Joe Caldwell shoots to Bill Carpenter, the lonesome end. Again, the play is to Caldwell. And again, he pitches, this time to halfback Bob Anderson. On a pitch out, Anderson sharpshoots to Lonesome Bill for a cadet score that ties it up 7-all at the half. The game's deadlocked until the last minute of the fourth quarter, and Army starts passing. Anderson takes Caldwell's heave for plenty. 51 seconds to go. Caldwell shoots another, grabbed by All-American Pete Dawkins. Army wins 14-7 to top a thrill play of a banner football season. At the opening of the second half, score is tied 7-all. A Navy pass and a one-handed interception by Lowe brings Southern Methodist to Navy's 20. A roaring crowd in the Cotton Bowl at Dallas is on tiptoe as Hackney takes a handoff to pick up 7 yards. Up to the 13, and on an option play, Meredith rolls out, keeps it, and scores to put SMU out in front over the midshipmen. Navy fights back desperately in the closing minutes. They're on the Texans' 20 with minutes to go. It's a pass situation, and Maxfield tosses. Tyree Williman intercepts on the 5. He breaks clear and he's off. A 95-yard jaunt for a touchdown that clinches the game for Southern Methodist. The season's off to a galloping start. Oklahoma draws first blood as Dick Carpenter takes a lateral and does some plain and fancy stepping down the sidelines. This puts the Sooners ahead. But the Texas Longhorns get up steam as Jim Sexton fakes a handoff and waltzes 30 yards to Oklahoma's 22. Football Texas brand that brings them to the scoring position. With the clock running out at the half, it's Sexton. This time a pass to Shirley that brings the ball to the 6-yard line. 30 seconds. Mike Dowdle takes a handoff to the 1-yard line. And on the next play, it's Dowdle again, bucking his way over for a score that puts Texas ahead by 1 point at the half. Oklahoma still threatens until the final quarter, when Mike Cotton clinches it for Texas with a bullseye to Jack Collins in midfield, who races 61 yards to corral the game for the Longhorns. Texas 19, Oklahoma 12. Michigan contributed to Notre Dame's disastrous year. Here, Larry Hudas picks up 7 for Michigan, and then Dean Look sneaks to the Notre Dame 4-yard line to set up the touchdown play. Hudas goes around left end for a Michigan tally to put them 1-up on the scoreless Irish. It's a seesaw battle. Then Blanche Martin rams center for a Michigan first, and things happen. Quarterback Dean Look looks around and tosses to Fred Arbenas, who takes it on the 22 and heads for home. It adds up to a blank day for the Irish, 19-0. It's nip and tuck all season in the Coast Big 5 Conference. Washington's Bob Schloret spots Don Makeda in the clear, and his toss brings the ball to Southern Cal's 7-yard line. Schloret, a one-eyed ball player who has no trouble seeing an opening, goes over for a Husky score to make it 14-13 in the final period. His conversion after touchdown nets 2 points, putting Washington ahead to 14-15. are down for the Trojans as Trainum goes wide and breaks free down the sidelines for 42 yards to Washington's 30. Trojan trickery with a double reverse sends Bob Levinson deep into Husky territory. It's a touchdown setup that spells victory for Southern Cal, 22-15. But Washington is destined for the Rose Bowl bid. Army goes into the lead over the Air Force as Bob Anderson makes it 7-6, inaugurating a new service classic before 68,000 fans. Plagued by a leg injury, Anderson doesn't show it as he plows over again for Army, putting the Cadets ahead 13-6 as the half ends. It's in the final quarter that the Falcons wing to glory. Caldwell's pass to Army's Usry is fumbled, and Barkham grabs it for the Air Force on the Army's 30. On an Air Force fourth down, Rich Mayo rolls out to his side, fakes, spots Bricky, and fires a pass that soars like a falcon right to the target for a first down. Then, Moynihan goes around end, streaking wide, and heads for the promised land as the Air Force ties it up in the closing minutes. The crowd has treated a storybook football in the last few seconds. An Air Force football field goal is wide. Final score, 13-13, but there is glory for all in this first meeting of the services. 67,000 in Baton Rouge see Mississippi's Charlie Flowers hit right tackle to Louisiana's 8-yard line to knock on their door for a first down. But LSU's famous Chinese bandits on defense bounced Jake Gibbs hard on an attempted rollout. With that as a sample, Mississippi discreetly decides to kick. And that's a big 3 points, for there the score remains into the fourth quarter. LSU's defense is savage. The Ole Miss Rebels can't get moving against the stonewall defense of Louisiana. Mississippi punts. Gibbs kicks deep into Tiger territory. A beautiful kick taken by All-American Billy Cannon on the 11. He runs a gauntlet of Mississippi tacklers, clearing one after another in a classic bit of broken field running that totes up to 90 yards. A sweet 7-3 victory for the Sugar Bowl-bound Tigers. At Evanston, there was bang-up football right from the start, as Northwestern's Ron Burton goes over tackle and races 69 yards to put the Wildcats in the lead 13-7. Burton's run rallies Wisconsin to greater efforts. The Badgers quarterback, Dale Hackbart, with superb passing like this TD pitch to Schoonover, puts Wisconsin in the lead at the half 17-13. It's Hackbart again, rolling to his right. As he's hit, he laterals to Ed Hart, who carries Wisconsin's hopes to the 3-yard line. 2 plays later, Hart goes over for a TD to make it 24-13 for the Badgers. Northwestern rallies in the fourth as Eichhoff pitches to Burton, who clocks 47 yards as he jaunts to the Wisconsin 2-yard line. Northwestern, with a string of 6 victories, is eyeing her first Big Ten title in 23 years. Wisconsin wins 24-19 on the way to the Rose Bowl. The 2 top teams in the East. Syracuse had players like Dave Baker, who goes through Penn State for 9 yards, and Ernie Davis, who slams over for an orange touchdown. Syracuse led all the way, but Penn State fought hard and spectacularly. After the TD, Syracuse kicks off. Roger Kaufman takes it in his own end zone, and he's off on that rocky road to pay dirt. It's one of the plays of the year as he snakes down the field with blocking that helps to pave the way. It's a sensational sprint the length of the gridiron. With this touchdown, Penn State is 8 points behind. In the closing minutes of the game, Syracuse is forced to punt, and it's blocked in a furious charge. A loose ball. Syracuse recovers, fumbles, and then Penn State recovers. It's their ball on the Syracuse 1-yard line. And moments later, Sam Sobchak is over to make it 20-18. Only 2 points needed in Penn State's roaring comeback to tie the game. They run the conversion, but Syracuse holds to remain undefeated and the nation's #1 team in 1959.